You're listening to ControlTalk Now, the Smart Buildings Podcast.
With the man, the myth, the legend. Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist.
ControlTalk Now, the weekly podcast with building automation and smart building control news you can use.
Now, here's Eric.
Welcome to ControlTalk Now, your Smart Buildings VideoCast and Podcast for the week ending January 31st, 2016. My name is Eric Stromquist, and I am joined, as usual, by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only. You know him as Ken Smyers, but if you're lucky enough to be one of his friends or his mama, you get to call him Kenny Smyers. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. It's good to be back. Had a whale of a closure to January. January 24th was the biggest night of the year, possibly, and it's starting out early. Now we got 11 more months to go. But what a great show! What a great show we have today, and we got some great announcements. And what's your weather like?
Let's start with the show, buddy. I tell you what. Well, first of all, as usual, the weather played a factor. Our friends from New York and the Northeast, a lot of them couldn't get in. So consequently, the 2015 ControlTrends Awards show, we were about 100 people shy there, but we still had a full house for an amazing venue, the Hard Rock Live. It was great. Most of our platinum sponsors had the opportunity to go up to the John Lennon Suite and sort of check that out before the show started. Open bar for 45 minutes afterwards, and I think everybody had a great time. Our videographer, Vlad, did a little tease video, which we have up this week, so you can take a peek at it to just sort of see what you might have missed if you weren't there, and you can make plans to be at the next one in Las Vegas in 2016.
January 29th.
We've already booked a spot, hadn't we?
Well, close. We've narrowed it down to one or two, but yes, we're very close to reserving our location for the January 29th, 2017 show. 2016, of course, we're always reviewing the year past. And it's good cue on the weather, because today here in Pittsburgh, we went from 17 degrees, 20 degrees, now we've got 55 degrees. It's bizarre. Weather's not been very friendly. It's been milder than most winters, but it seems like when it does hit, it hits at the wrong time. Spoils our plans, but you're right. We had over 300 people down there at the show. We had a couple empty seats, and that's a shame because they were booked, and the folks missed a great show.
They did. And listen, I just want to start off and thank again our team from Stromquist and Company, because I tell you what, they worked tirelessly to make sure this was a great show, and that was started with Stacy McCammon, Rob Allen, Mike Bonner, Bill Jones, Stephen Smitherman, Dozier Mills, Kevin Simpson, and the list goes on, Kenny. But they, we don't pay them for this, and they just bust their tails to do it, and it really showed this year. I thought we had our best production value to date. What do you think?
Again, yes, thank you for all the hard work the team Stromquist gave for the show. Stacy, magnificent organizer, Rob and Michael, putting up the AV connection. I think one of the coolest things I thought was the fit between what we wanted to do and the ability of Hard Rock Cafe or Hard Rock Live. All that audio visual, those new technologies were put into place. That the wireless cam.
Well, that was all Mike and Rob. They came up with that idea, but the fact that we were able to bring it in and sort of create that live stream, it was
part
really
of the show.
Cool.
I mean, we've never done that before.
It added a whole new dimension, and they're already thinking about what we're going to do next year. So it's going to keep getting better and better. And then, of course, we got to thank our host Mark Petock and our co-host Kimberly Brown from Cochran Supply. Did they not just do another incredible job?
Natural MCs. Kim Brown's amazing. Just such a robust personality. She's knowledgeable. She's very, very, hardworking in the industry, so she knows it well. So what's really cool is how this is all homegrown. All the people that we had, except for the models and superheroes, are part of the active HVAC building automation industry. So and Scotty Cochran, hats off to him.
Great guest presenters. Everybody from David Alabama to Luis Margares, Scott Cochran, like you mentioned, Alper Unsmaller, King Thomas, Jim Heyman.
King Thomas
was there. Yeah. So we had Lisa Woods. So fantastic presenters. And that's a lot of what it's about for us, Kenny, is we really are trying to shine a spotlight on all the superstars in our industry and give them their moment underneath on the red carpet or underneath the lights or even winning an award. So it was fantastic. We had people from all over the country, and I wish I had his card. Met a really nice young engineer from Ontario, Canada, apparently a big fan of the show, Kenny. He comes on, I think his name is Jim, and if I got that wrong, I apologize. I was trying to find his card before the show, but very nice guy, came up, spoke with both of us, big Control Trends fan, so he was awesome.
Came with Pete Walsh, right, from Columbus Temperature?
Well, no, he sat at Pete's table. And Pete brought him up and introduced us. And, of course, Samir Prada all the way from India, Ron McElhaney from down under Australia. We had people from as far away as India and Australia. Chris Snyder.
Rod from Holland.
Yep.
Spain was there. A couple folks from England we got a chance to talk to. It really was a global event, Eric. And, it's so fascinating. And,
it's going to continue to be a global event, which we're going to talk a little bit more about. But before we do, I need to let our audience know that Kenny was very, very disappointed in something. And I'm going to tell you, we're up on stage and he couldn't let it go. And I got to tell you, we had some beautiful models. Kenny was okay with Batman, but Superman, we're up on stage. Kenny goes, look at that guy. He's small. He's fat. He looks awful. I mean, come on. We paid for this guy. He doesn't look like Superman. Yeah.
Time out. We have to be careful because what we say can be used against us. No.
Well, I didn't say he was fat. I thought he was kind of cute, kind of Clark Kentish looking. You were the one. So it's Ken Smyers with a capital K.
Next year we go with Captain America because Captain America.
We'll have a different. He looked good, but we got to ride around Universal a lot, and we were seeing a lot of the superheroes and the Harry Potter folks because they film a lot of movies down there. But next year probably be a different theme.
Sure, it will be.
We'll have to do something with cowboys and Indians or something like that.
Well, okay, since you're bringing up some of those the miscues, how about Somewhere Over the Rainbow? Tell our listeners about what we really truly what our knockout punch was.
Well, our knockout punch, okay, and we had a surprise, and we were basically so here was going to be the setup. All right, I'm going to tell you this. I guess this means we'll never get a chance to do it. Should we tell them or should we just maybe save it? We might get a chance to do it another year. Let's save it because we might get to do it another year.
Remember, because of the hero theme, we had all the superheroes possess extraordinary talent.
Yeah, but we might want to pull this surprise. We might want to pull this hat out. We might want. I mean, we can do it if you want to. But
you're right. We got to keep something for next year.
Yeah, because this. I'll put it this way: Kenny had something, and I had something major planned, which would have put this thing over the big top. We never would have been able to top it if we'd done this. And bottom line, the weather affected it. I don't know. We own 3 tickets from New York to Orlando if anybody needs them, right?
Well, Expedia sent me, how did you like your flight? And then Delta said, how do you like your flight? And I write back to them both. Flights were not taken due to severe weather. Flights were canceled. Let's talk about refund or reassignment of those funds. And nobody's got back to me yet. So you just want to hear good news. They don't want to deal with
Yeah. Well, we don't have to think about that because it was, these shows are a lot of work, and it was kind of trying with the weather and all didn't necessarily cooperate. Obviously from New York, but then it rained a lot. We were in Orlando. It got cold, rainy, but we pulled it off. It's all done. And I do want to talk about a couple of the awards, not all of them, Kenny. Obviously, we got a new class of young guns coming in, so you can go and read about them. We're gonna have all their bios up on Control Trends. But I want to talk about the PID Award. Thank Roger Riebenek. What a great job. Roger was the first recipient of the PID Award, which is Passion, Integrity, and Dedication. And Raj presented the award this year. And we actually had, if the votes are close, we go with 2. There's a tie. And the votes were very, very close on this. So he presented the award to Mike Marston and Larry Andrianis from Honeywell. But did Raj do a fantastic job? He got the crowd going, didn't he?
Yeah, Roger Riebenek is like you call him the most energetic,
exciting man in the controls industry.
James Brown of the HVAC, but again, here's a guy that's got 35 years in the business, from technician to one of the senior executives. He's in charge of the security program for both Vicon and Honeywell, so he really knows his job well. But when he gets on that stage, he has another dimension that he can bring out, and that's entertainment. He's a very serious. Musician, singer. He's got talent galore. And as soon as he came up onto the stage, it changed the whole the mojo of the whole show changed because Roger got up there and got people psyched, and he knows how to work
a crowd, doesn't he?
Exactly. And
so it sort of brings up so one of the changes we're making in the Control Trends Awards is and Ed Merwin graciously brought this up and Roger concurred. that the PID award is such an important award. And as Ed said, it's kind of like being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And when we get our museum going, it will be like being in the Hall of Fame. But Ed basically said that, I think that should be something you do once. I mean, it's like you're only going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame once. You should only get the PID award once. And there's so many people that are deserving of it that next year, Kenny and I are basically going to open that up to only new folks. In other words, once you're inducted to the PID, your number is retired. And there's so many great people out there, and Roger concurred with that. But hopefully we can get Raj to maybe, or one of the previous PID award winners will probably always present the PID award, welcome the new PID winners into the class. So that would be one change we're going to make. And another change, Kenny, I think we're always going to have at least 45 minutes of open bar, because I tell you what, after the show, everybody getting to hang around and spend time together. That was an element that I hadn't really thought of until this year, and we sort of fell into it.
Sure.
But if you think about it, this is the time we come together. We compete like hell during the year. We put our swords down. We come together. We celebrate each other. We celebrate our industry. And it was just awesome. I mean, with the open bar, everybody was talking and,
Well, the networking, in fact, I was told by 5-6 people immediately after what a great dimension that was to the show, because all these people know each other. I mean, some people have worked, for different companies and swapped back and forth, but invariably all these people know each other for, the last 10, 15, 20 years. And to have that, like you said, that unguarded moment where you get to say hi across the room and really truly network and go into things that you wouldn't in any other day of the year. You couldn't do it for obvious reasons. But there it was just like, it was Switzerland, it was neutral. And I've never seen so many people just talk up, just really enjoy that moment. It was a very, very pinnacle moment of our business, the successful moments in our HVAC, where you've got all everybody there was a consummate pro.
Yeah.
And the thing is, everybody was nominated as a winner. This was just a great feeling to be around that many people excited about the moment.
Well, it really is. And we've got, and we video these things. So you'll be seeing videos over the next month or so of all the great stuff. But I remember the very first show we did back when Ben Dorsey was KMC. I mean, we've got him on camera going, this is a great event. I picked up 4 new customers here, right? So, it is. And the event's going to continue to grow. So again, finally, Kenny, I want to reach out. I want to thank all our sponsors, because without our sponsors, none of this can happen. And we got so many great companies, people like Eugene Mazoâ, DGLogik, EasyIO. They always come on right out of the bat. The last thing they say to us before they leave is, we're on for next year. And then, the mainstays like Honeywell, Belimo, Johnson Controls, KMC, the list goes on and on. They're on the side of our website. We encourage you to visit our sponsors, see what they have to offer, because they're all great companies and organizations.
One more plug, Eric.
Oh, there you go. And you can look at Kenny's. Hang on, we'll get a different shot here for you. There you go. There are our platinum sponsors. Move it a little bit to the left and right really slow so they can see them all. Lift it up. Lift it up. There you go. All right, cool. Well, there you go. You can see we just got some fantastic sponsors there. So again, thanks very much to the sponsors. And Kenny,
Icon, Neptronic, Siemens, SMC, just really, truly. Dwyer came on board. Allerton came on board. George Thomas Contemporary Controls, had a great time with them. Cochrane Supply, Blue Ridge Technologies, great folks. Connect Air, Sarah Monteleone, Functional Devices. We had Alper come on with BASSG, Thermocon, Viconics, Project Haystack, guys. Thank you so much, Eric. One other thing that I was losing the thread on, so I wanted to bring it up before it slips me. But we were talking about the dimensions and about the show and about the network. How about the fabulous phenomena type thing that happened with Samir Pradhan from CICC when we introduced him? As soon as he went to a seat, apparently.
Tell our listeners, first of all, tell our listeners who Samir Pradhan is and the significance he has for the ControlTrends community, and then tell them what happened, because that was a huge piece.
Sure. We met Samir through ControlTrends events, and Samir is the CEO, managing director of CICC, which is a large integration firm in India. And they travel all through, they have various locations throughout India. They're busy primarily. Their markets are India, of course, the Middle East, and now the States. So what happened was we found out, just by talking with Samir, how extraordinary the possibilities were to create, some sort of we always see the European to India pipeline, and now we're trying to create a North American pipeline to India. And Samir he graciously regarded that and said, yes, we could do that, and would really like to see that, because India is no longer structured where they only can do certain voltages and can only do British threads. They can also do NPT now. So we introduced him. He got a minute to kind of summarize, what India was all about and the potential there. And as soon as he went to the seat, several of the vendors and people in the ControlTrends crowd went over and gave their cards to Samir, because that's how serious the possibilities are. That's how the reality. That's how things can happen. You meet somebody at these trade shows. And speaking of trade shows and awards, we gave out our first industry service award to the AHR Expoâ. Clay Stevens and his family have done an extraordinary job. He's the third generation, I believe. It's 86-year celebration this year, and they have, probably been that gravitational force that kind of shaped and molded our industry by bringing all these, important manufacturers, all these important vendors, all these solution providers and product manufacturers together in one setting where 65,000 people come in from all over the world and do that. They get to, in 2 days, you can go through the synopsis of all the new products. You can network, people probably 5% change of jobs in that show, because that's just the way the world works. And to have that, to have AHR, that alignment that we now have and we enjoy, next year, since all the great folks are going to be in town, that's the time, it's the season, we might as well take a night and then, give them their night, the HVAC, building automation, building management, all those great industries, put them all in the same room and give them, some attention as the heroes and superstars that they really are.
No, absolutely. And we spent a good bit of time after the ControlTrends Award show over at the AHR show. So we have extensive coverage of the different booths and the different vendors. We got a great, you mentioned Sierra Monitor, Varun Nazarah, the CEO, is a brilliant guy. We spent a good bit of time at his booth video and his new products that they're bringing out. And so a bunch of stuff coming from that. Again, we're endeavoring to get those edited and posted as soon as possible, as well as extensive ControlTrends coverage. Again, if you've had a chance to go, you saw Vladimir put together a little tease video. Mm-hmm. So that's more of that to come. But I wanted to cycle back around to Samir Prada real quick, because that market in India, Kenny, and I think what attracted us to that is that market in India they got set aside $400 billion with the B money for smart cities. And I've been to India before, Kenny, and I tell you what is extremes. You have extreme poverty, but you also have extreme technology. They have some of the most modern airports you'll ever go to and some of the most modern buildings. And so they are building that country up and with an emphasis on smart buildings and saving energy. So it's a tremendous opportunity for some of the suppliers in the U.S. to get into that market. And Samir is going to provide a window, if you will, into that Indian market. And as a matter of fact, we announced, and Samir is going to we're launching a website, ControlTrends India. Samir will be the editor of that, and we're partnering with him. And from that website, you will get a window into India, and the people from India will get a window out. So again, ControlTrends can become a connector, if you will, connecting people over here with opportunities over there and vice versa. So we're just absolutely thrilled to have Samir on board. He's a lot like Kenny and myself in that he's working it every day. So I think that's one of the things that gives us a unique perspective, is that when we're not making videos or writing blogs, Kenny and I are in the field working with the very products that our audience does. So I think it gives him a great perspective on what's going on over there. And what Samir is telling us is the opportunities are huge for companies in the U.S. So Kenny and I and ControlTrends India would like to be your portal into India.
Like Samir just mentioned over the weekend, he's traveling back to India at this present time. There's a Smart City Expo or webinar or convention just about every quarter. And what's happening is, if you think about 100 smart cities, some of these are already modern cities and some of these are starting from, ground up. And they have the opportunity to really and truly, like you said, make it where every building, every facility now has the benefit of all this technology. It's almost like this is a great time to rebuild your infrastructure, because now when you do it, you've got these great product platforms. It's, you've got Niagara 4, you've got, I know some of the great interviews we had was with Neptronic, introducing their humidifier lines. They've got a new controller that's ideally suited for the standalone and integration possibilities. So you put it in now to make the equipment work. have the time clock, alarms, whatever you need, and then you can integrate that. And then we went over to DGLogik, and I know that they got really excited about the potential with Samira, because data visualization will never ever go away. It will only improve and become more significant. When you include data visualization and touch screens, just like you see in the movie where they do the magical stuff, where they make the screen large and then tap and control, that's really truly going to be deployed. And it's because the technology's here. The footprints are smaller and the costs are being driven down by competition. So this is the great time to be in the industry, like you always say.
It really is. And the ControlTrends India website has launched. We will be having Samira on, and Samira will be covering one of those shows Kenny's talking about in February or March. So we will be having video footage of that show. So again, ControlTrends can be your portal into India, and we've got several other people around the world that are interested in creating ControlTrends sites, which we're talking to people now. So eventually, we're seeing ControlTrends as being a global portal, if you will. So if you want to know about a market from the U.S., you'll have a way to do it. And then if you're in one of these other countries, you'll have a way to look back and market your wares back here as well. So it's good stuff. Kenny, were there any other...
What is that website?
No, hang on.
What is that website?
Right now it's ControlTrends.com. That's where you need to go right now. We'll let you know when the ControlTrends India website is ready for prime time. It's launched, but we're still putting it together.
I couldn't help it.
I know you couldn't, buddy. I know you couldn't. Well, listen, a couple other awards. One of the trends we followed this year was the cybersecurity, as you know, and both Fred Gordy and Mark Petock have just been fantastic in terms of educating our community. They're working tirelessly. So Kenny and I gave out for lack of a better term, a Cyber Cop Award, if you want to, or Cyber Sheriff Award. And we honor both Mark Petock from Lynxspring and Fred Gordy with that award. So
smart award.
Yeah. So that was good. And then the Petock Award, which Mark Petock go ahead. No,
I cheat here because I got my little cheat sheet here. But we had the BACnet Award. Andy McMillan came from BACnet International, the president of BACnet International. He came and did a very special presentation. So it was a big BACnet night, and I was just going to transition.
Sure.
Of course, we'll take it back up with the Petock Award.
Mark Petock's Award. Go ahead. You got your list. So if you see anything on the list, let's get those, because there's so much, and we're kind of winging it today.
Yeah. Well, we did just summary. We did the AHR Expoâ, the 86th year, Industry Service Award, ControlTrends. Then we did the Young Guns. Rob Allen, Brad White from SES Consultant did a great job. All the prep work. That'll be another post. So we'll kind of go by that one real quick. Then we had Andy McMillan come on stage. BACnet International had a great meeting during the AHR show, and it was a big night for BACnet because Andy McMillan gave out an award to AB&B, and then we went to Then the show started. And then, of course, to go to the awards, then we did have the Mark Petock Award. Who did Mark give that award to?
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, since you got the list, why don't we just go through and let's just do a quick rundown on who our winners are. You want to do that real quick?
Sure.
Right. I should be playing theme music. Da 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 da. I thought you had it on your sheet. If you don't, that's cool. We don't have to do it.
No, I had it on a screen here. 1 second, please.
Okay.
I had a moment. All right, to sum it up real quick, Eric, because we're going to have money posts on this, but Commercial Thermostat of the Year went to the Siemens RDY 2000. The VFD Product of the Year went to Siemens BT300. Peripheral Product of the Year, ACI. The VAV Controller of the Year went to KMC Simply VAV. Building Automation Plant Equipment Controller of the Year, EasyIO FG32 Plus. The Wireless Product Solution of the Year was EasyIO in Ocean, primarily out of Europe. Lighting Integration Provider Solution of the Year, Blue Ridge Technologies, and SEMA Gamma. Next up, we had the Energy Saving Solution Product of the Year, Sky Foundry. Innovative Product of the Year, Tritium Niagara 4. Third-Party Visualization Software of the Year, J2 Innovations Fin Builder. Building Analytics Software of the Year, we had a tie there, J2 Innovations and Niagara Analytics Framework. Next up, we had the Building Automation Control System of the Year, Johnson Controls FX. Then the Control Systems Integrated of the Year, Hepta Systems North America, and Automation Integrated out of Oklahoma City, 2 top master systems integrators. Best Technical Support Person of the Year, large manufacturer, was Mr. John Hutchie from Honeywell. Best Technical Support Small Manufacturer, Patrick Dumas, Iconics.
Hey, I want to hop in on that one real quick because one of our nominees got a huge compliment. And first of all, congratulations to Patrick Dumas. But do you realize that the ControlTrends community nominated Scott Mensch from J2 Innovations for Best Technical Support? And Scott is actually an executive. And I can't think of a bigger compliment to get than being an executive and having the community also think of you as providing great technical support. Not many of them could pull that off, Kenny. So congratulations to Scott Mensch.
Sure, but remember the streaming you all did down there at Stromquist?
Yeah.
Scott did that?
Well,
I mean,
I love executives that know their products, and Scott really knows them. And I can certainly see where our ControlTrends community could sort of, view Scott as a technical support person because he's that damn brilliant. But just so our community knows, and make no doubt about this, Scott is an executive at J2 Innovation. So, but again, I just had to throw it in because what a compliment to Scott Mensch, huh? I mean, wow. What do we have up next, Kenny? What was the next one? Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, no. Best Technical Support Company, large manufacturer, was Belimo. Best Tech Support Company, small manufacturer, Blue Ridge Technologies. ControlTrends Executive of the Year, large manufacturer, Lars Vanderhagen.
Hang on. I want to offer a personal congratulations to Lars because we had great executives there. And if you go down that list, they were fantastic. But Lars, if you're listening, and he probably is because he does, man, congratulations. We're really, really happy for you. I think Lars is one of these guys, Kenny, that like all of them is absolutely brilliant and just a great guy on top of everything else. They all are great guys, but it was just nice to see Lars get it this year. He's been in the running every year since we started. So congratulations, Lars. Well,
sure, Eric. When you have corporations of that size and that kind of global presence, it's amazing to get an analogy like a general or a field commander or, even an ambassador. You have to be good at so many different things. Those executives, I mean, they waste no time. They probably live one of the most aggressively efficient lifestyles you can do it because they have to consume so much information and make so many decisions. So hats off to all of them. And then, we did have some issues where we were reminded what large manufacturers and small manufacturers, the threshold one year was 40 million and 50 million, but we will make sure that there was a comment or two that some of the companies were over the small manufacturer threshold and should be considered large. But all these things,
Kenny, let's talk about this real quick because this is a good point. And Kenny and I are not. I mean, because most of these people get written in, they are nominated and they get a bunch of write-in votes. And the time to clean that up is during the nomination period. We had several different categories where people were nominated. Our ControlTrends community emailed Kenny and I said, this company or this product doesn't qualify for this because of blank, 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 blank. Kenny and I go research it. If it was true, we took them off. Okay, so that's part of the process. So next year, we'll remind everybody of that. And then the other thing I would say along that too, Kenny, before we finish up with everybody is now is also the time, if you have some suggestions on how we can make the 2016 ControlTrends Awards better, please let us know. And getting rid of Kenny and Eric is not one of the things that won't get you anywhere. But
well, Eric, you're so right about that. And asking for help, we're very humble. Misspelled names. I mean, it just occurred. We had a guy's name misspelled the whole time, and we find out after the show it's an N instead of an M. I just, I feel horrible about it. But,
yeah.
The people wrote that in, and we assume to the best of our abilities, we do, like you said, the due diligence on a lot of stuff. But, a lot of it populated, the actual information is populated by
during the nomination period. Yeah, during the nomination period. So we take, and some of the categories, again, people are going, that's not necessarily the case, but if they emailed us during the nomination period, we would research it. We'd have a conversation. We endeavor to get it as correct as we can. But sort of after the fact, after the nomination period, if nobody's corrected us and it's not something blatant that we know, then that's what we go with because that's what the ControlTrends community thinks it is. So if the ControlTrends community thinks your product is this, one way to look at that is, well, that's great feedback because you got 4,000 or 5,000 people that are thinking you are that. So that's great marketing input. And if you don't want to be perceived that way, guess what? There is a huge venue that you can come on to at any point in time. All you got is email or call me and Kenny, and you can come on ControlTrends and set the community straight, right?
Good point, Eric. So again, just trying to get better every year. So
yes, absolutely.
We do listen to everybody's inputs and all right, to conclude the winners list, we had the ControlTrends Executive of the Year, small manufacturer, Jason Briggs, J2 Innovations.
Nice job, Jason.
Congratulations. ControlTrends Vendor of the Year, large manufacturer, Belimo. ControlTrends Vendor of the Year, small manufacturer, ACI. And like you said, the PID award, passion, integrity, and dedication, probably the most prestigious award, in many regards, because it's any walk of life could be nominated for this. You could be a technician, you could be support, you could be the top executive, or you could be the middle guy, middle management. People regarded you well, and it's reflected in the voting. Mike Marston, EasyIO, and Larry Andrew-Eunice from Honeywell won, and congratulations. Mike double dipped. So we'll have to make sure he's aware he can't win it the third time. But it just shows you the passion he's got. Most of the people that we've mentioned here, too, by the way, really and truly love what they do for a living.
Yes.
And that's how you can separate because when people regard these guys, they see this guy and they say, man, he is the man from this company, and he believes in this, and he truly does. And you look at the footprints these guys travel, their areas, North America for Larry, and I think he's Canada and United States. And then Mike, of course, is a globetrotter. He was down in Stromquist, last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I had lunch with Mike and Lim Thursday, as a matter of fact. So he was teaching a training class there. But you're right. These guys are tireless. They're passionate. And the thing is, you know them when you see them. And the really cool thing about our industry, Kenny, which is another reason why I think we have to put a one-shot limit on it, is they're abundant. We have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, every great company has at least one of those people. So it was great. And then from there, we rolled into, after the PID award, what was up next?
We went to the Petock Award.
Okay,
and,
talk about the Petock Award, Kenny. Tell them about that.
Well, you know what, Mark Petock, a couple years ago, 5 years ago, I guess now, when we were really putting together the bricks and mortar to create the foundation of ControlTrends, and we posed this concept, Mark was so quick to embrace it and said that's going to fill a void that I think everybody is going to immediately appreciate. And so we thought at the time, to create an award for somebody that selflessly gave his time, energy, and really and truly brought his networking together to help us get the real push we needed to get the ControlTrends up and at 'em, whether it was involving the media networking he helped us with. But the whole idea was that Mark Petock represented, he epitomized an award. So we created the Petock Award. And he's given that out to some of the very, very just stellar people in the industry. Again,
right,
it's all about our industry.
And he chooses that, Kenny. Mark makes that pick because we figured that takes one to know one. So, Mark looks for those qualities in other people. And I tell you what, he picked a great one this year. I don't think anybody can argue with that.
No, Ed Marwin from Vicon, Tritium Vicon, is like you said, the grandfather of integration as far as the systems integration. Most of us, the first voice we heard, the first person that actually gave the presentation on what was going to come, and then helped deliver that, and now still very active. He said all the trade shows. At the booths, because he's another passionate guy. We went to Ed Marwin, who's got just an incredible career. Again, started out as a technician, really truly knows the granular aspects of the job. Talks about the old days when he was up on rooftops and how the years that he's been in the business, how we've just gone through this accelerated evolution of technology and where it's going to go. He believes we've just seen the crest of it. There's a lot more to come, and he loves what he's doing because he's working with one of the top platforms in the industry, and has a great future. So, congratulations to Ed Marwin.
Oh yeah, congratulations, Ed. I was thrilled Mark picked him.
The picture that you put up on the 2015 ControlTrends Award teaser with Hans Kranz from Landstuhl, Germany. I mean, if that picture doesn't capture somebody that truly appreciates an attaboy, the way he holds that trophy and the smile, that gracious smile. But there's the guy, I've shown, I have one of his original documents where 1975, he was working for IBM, and he was coming up with he knew innately that we had to have a communication protocol instead of everyone having their own protocol and just having, incompatibilities. These guys set out to create a industry protocol that became the global accepted BACnet standard. The origins were with a few people. I think there's like 6 of them. We've recognized 2 of them directly. Michael Newman from Cornell University. I got a chance to talk to Mike for a long time at the trade show, at AHR show on the floor. And as we were standing there, about 10 people came by and shook his hand and said hi to him. So, I mean, in that regard, he's considered, one of the fathers of BACnet. He is the father of BACnet. American wrote the book. And this was the co-sponsor of BACnet. The European version was Hans Kranz. And, his wife came, and it's just such a small world and serendipity. But my wife's German, so she spoke with Hans and his wife, and they just were tickled to death. He wrote back a genuine thank you email to you and I saying, he was very, very delighted. He was impressed with the organization, and he was really impressed with the American attitude towards our industry, that we want to give this regard to people, and we're not afraid to have a show to celebrate the heroes, even if, it's a little bit over the top, from the European perspective, to make us sound like heroes and superheroes, but and superstars. But, the Hard Rock Cafe was a venue that just brought you to your alert status, because it's just a museum. Everything on the wall is an artifact of some sort. And then to be on that stage and to have, the attention brought to our industry and the heroes and superstars in our industry, it was just an amazing thing. And to have a European come in, receive the award, and then say those nice things, it was just that was the icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake for sure. And I tell you, one of my favorite things, because Mike Newman is such a cool guy too. And one of my favorite things is after he got his trophy last year, it was a big snowstorm in February or whatever, and Mike's out in the snowstorm holding his control, and he sends that picture. And again, special thanks to Ken Sinclairâ, AutomatedBuildings.com. His February issue is hitting the street tomorrow. And, Ken is another one of those guys that just pulls it together. He was the one who inducted Hans into the Hall of Fame, as well as last year Michael Newman. So special thanks to Ken Sinclairâ, AutomatedBuildings.com as well. So, buddy, it was huge, and again, we are still working with the museum. We made an announcement there. Eugene Mazoâ and his team at DGLogik is working with us on that. We're still probably a little ways off on that, but guess what? The video collateral and all the awards and everything we're collecting will all be part of that museum to live in, what does Franklin Roosevelt say? Perpetuity? Is that the right word? Vocab word for the day?
I think I'm going to go with that.
You're going to go perpetuity. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
a day.
Antiquity.
Yeah.
Inequity.
Yeah. So the day that the museum opens up, which will be in the next couple of years, will be a day that lives in infamy.
There we go.
All right, buddy.
Well, that was definitely FDR there. But the wonderful thing about what we're doing, Eric, is we take anybody has great ideas or whatever, and how to do things better than our first iteration. Well, some of the advice that came out of that book, Bold, where the guys talk about, fail early, fail fast, fail forward, and keep learning.
That was my philosophy on marriage, by the way. And if you see my wife, Anna, now, you know that I lived out of that romantically, because I finally got it right, buddy. I got the best wife and the best kids, but failed off and failed forward. Yeah, it's an expensive way to do it.
That, because when you collected and solicited information and attention, we immediately received generous inputs. Whether it was support from actually hardware, the first of this, whatever, where we're going to put this stuff. But the crowdsourcing and the crowd funding that is contained in that is exactly how we're going to do it. Everybody's going to have an opportunity to contribute their anecdotes, their stories, and anybody that wants to contribute donations are going to be able to do it. And we'll have come from all over the world. We won't impose solicit people, beat them up for money or anything, because this is going to be something that's going to be permanent. It's going to be done so well that after you and I are long gone, there's going to be this incredible depository of information. And Ken Sinclairâ, to your point, he is just one of the most generous people with his time and energy, but mostly information.
Yeah.
He got us kind of like understanding the granularity, how everybody knows everybody. Everything has a source. Everything has a reason of being. A source document exists to explain how this happened, that happened, whatever. And he's done a magnificent job of collecting many, thousands of articles, infomercials, things that explain who did what and how it happened, whether it's a protocol. So he's given.
He's the bomb. But something just popped in my head. I'm thinking about this museum. So fast forward 300 years, right? The museum 300. The museum's up. What are people 300 years from now? They're just going to be blown away by Roger Rebenek's presentation at the ControlTrends Awards, aren't they? I mean, imagine that. I bet he will be studied by future generations, right? So,
how about his motivation? He said, on the stage we had, I think Elton John had been there.
Yeah.
One of the Beatles had been on that stage.
And Roger Rebenak rounded it out. So now Salika down there said since Roger's on stage, they can up their prices. So I'm just teasing. But, buddy, listen, so it is great. We're working with that. And then I think from there, we rolled over, like I mentioned earlier, we covered the AHR show. We just put a post up. We covered Ken Sinclairâ. We'll mention that name again, automatedbuildings.com. He does a connected community collaboratory, Ken. And we videoed that. There's a post up there, but tell our viewers a little bit about that. That's a pretty darn special thing. You and I and Samir both attended it. I videoed it. I thought you did another great job. I feel like we're
cheating because we get to hear. I mean, when you pay money to go to a seminar, or webinar, or training, or whatever, what you're doing is you're getting like the faculty of some business or some perspective that you want to pay for a cheat sheet, condensed version of all the good information available. The only sad part about that thing, the only disappointment thing, is that there were empty chairs in that room because everybody that's in business, in the control business, should have been there. We had the panel itself just speaks for itself. Troy Davis from InOcean, he's the OEM sales manager. He got to field all the hard questions on wireless, the goods and the bads. But they had some case studies there where they actually had people in the audience that gave testimony on how successful their wireless applications have been. And Paul Oswald, Managing Director of CBRE ESI, Global Workplace Solutions. Paul he knows it A to Z. He's been in the business for a long time and has seen the starts and the extended successes, what works, what's sustainable, and he's an expert in so many different regards. With John Petsy, the principal of Sky Foundry. We also had Mark Petock, and of course Ken Sinclairâ, and then Paul, the president of BACnet International.
Oh, Andy McMillan.
Andy McMillan, and if you've never heard Andy McMillan talk, I'll tell you what, this guy is entertaining. He had a bunch of anecdotes and stories about, why collaboration, how it got started was Ken Sinclairâ, Mark Petock, meeting in Chicago, was it?
Yeah.
That's in your post, which was a great post. But the future that we're going to, that we're expiring into, has so many needs for collaboration and networking, because the days of a single manufacturer or a single entity being responsible from A to Z are basically over. Crowdsourcing, where you have multiple inputs from everywhere, is the fastest way to get stuff done. And then when you apply that to the exponential, technologies we have available, this is the future. And,
Kenny, you're absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, Mike Marston, ECIO, they've got a new product they're going to be crowdsourcing. So it used to be the conventional wisdom to bring it all the way back around was that you build a product, you'd find a market, and you'd sell the product. Now, the way things are working now is you come up with an idea, you sell the product, then you fund it, and then you make it. Okay, so it's a completely different way to do things. But hey, I want to cycle back around real quick because you talk about somebody that's entertaining and is just an awesome guy, a great moderator is Ken Sinclairâ. I mean, he does a great job with the presentations at the ControlTrends Awards. But dude, there is not anybody better suited to moderate that whole thing than Ken. I mean, I am so impressed with him. As a matter of fact, we're jokingly saying, because, back in the day, if you're old like me and Kenny, when you were a little kid, you remember your moms and dads talking about the Rat Pack, right? Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Peter Lawford, Sammy Davis Jr., and they were infamous for doing all kinds of things like the man, the myth, the legend did in the 70s. But Frank Sinatra was known as the chairman of the board. So I am officially making an announcement on January 31st, 2016, that now we have the BACnet, or the backpack, for BACnet International, and I am deeming that our friend Ken Sinclairâ, AutomatedBuildings.com, is now the chairman of the board. So he should be addressed that way, no longer as Otto, no longer as Ken, but the chairman of the board.
Okay. Well,
right,
it was amazing. Well, we went to some place right after you said that, and there was pictures of Frank Sinatra on every wall. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was kind of like another of those synchronistic moments where it's like, wow, it's, No,
it's something else. But, the video's up there. You can see the thing in its entirety, but I encourage you next year, definitely get there. It's free. There's not a charge. The dialogue and then the input from the audience. And Ken is a master at getting everybody involved. The ideas and the synergies and the concepts that come out of that are invaluable. So encourage you
I
with
don't know
that.
how a company could be, a major manufacturer or vendor could afford to miss that stuff, because this is where you're getting all the ponies. This is where all the important catchphrases, catchwords, important buzz things, buzz trends.
Let's put in perspective. Everybody could understand. Okay, so this is the place. I mean, if you were an investor and a stock that was just getting ready to go public, it was like a can't miss stock tip, or your analogy, the ponies. I mean, this is the place you can go. And if you're betting, and face it, at a certain level in business, we're all gamblers, right? Because we're betting on the future. We're going to put our resources in certain places. And I tell you what, Ken Sinclairâ is like Notre Dame, right? I mean, you go there, you hear this stuff, the future becomes a lot clearer. So I think we said enough about this, Kenny, but we are going to stay on this. We're going to make sure we get Ken Sinclairâ on more with Control Trends to promote this. We're not going to let you forget about this next year in Las Vegas. It's going to be, hell, we might even have the Control Trends Awards at Ken Sinclairâ's Collected Collaboratory. Just is that good. But hey, speaking of really cool executives and really cool people, Kenny, we didn't have a lot of posts this week, but you put one up on another guy we have a tremendous amount of respect for, Eugene Mazoâ from DGLogik.
I sure did. Again, one of the final statement on that collaboratorium is that if you had questions about what you think is going to work, not work, or where we're going to go as an industry, you had 5 extraordinarily guys. The total industry experience was probably 250 years or something. These guys have seen it all and have really important thoughts about what's coming in the future. So to me, it was an opportunity to really express your to look for answers, to look for what's going to happen next. But insight. We had a post that came from the Informed Health Symposium in California, where Eugene Mazoâ took part in a panel regarding health information. They had some really neat stuff. California always has the most current buzzwords, but they call it the Holy Grid. But what Eugene reminded everybody was that the new technologies are not just static building automation, building management stuff. He said that, in this thing that they enable, they're a software company that enables IoT. They enable devices to connect to each other, to exchange information freely, and to allow developers to build applications on top of that free-flowing information. Eric, these guys are all experts and pros, but Eugene has a background in process automation, and he combined that with his partners. They have extraordinary backgrounds in commercial building automation, and then they point this at the hospital industries. And what's really, really wow, they talk about, they use this kind of terminology, knocking down walled gardens. They look at the technological perspective and business value perspective, and what benefits this operability can be, especially aimed at healthcare. So the things that they're doing and the control that they can give these large and these distributed environments, multiple location environments, when they get the data and they use it to their greatest effect, they can not only just enjoy extraordinary energy savings, but also operational savings. And that's where the real gold mine is knowing what's happening, having a live, visualized presentation of where you're at. Are you above or below your lines? Are you expecting incredible weather problems? Is there going to be a drought? Is there whatever you need to know? DGLogik and this their Project Assist is a solution. So
it really is, and we actually have a demo of Project Assist that we'll be posting a little bit later, probably next week or the week after. And along those lines, Kenny, as my teacher Marshall Thurber used to say, "In God we trust, and all else get data." So that's a pretty good thing there. So listen, Kenny, I sort of wanted to as we wrap it up, I saw an interesting commercial last night. It was the first time I'd seen this, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it was basically it was a Microsoft commercial, and they were talking about cybercrime, and Microsoft now has a Microsoft Police Department. So in other words, they're monitoring everything now. And they're saying that, since they built the software that's getting hacked, that, they know how to try to find people. It's kind of a cool commercial, but it sort of gets back to the fact that cybersecurity is a global problem. And it looks like the Microsoft police. So I know you're a Microsoft guy, buddy, so be careful. I wouldn't want
Microsoft 10 now is, we got all kinds of things, don't do it because of that exact thing.
Yeah.
Microsoft now is taking the liberty, That book, Future Crimes, is such an incredible book. Okay, I read it once, kind of cursory. Now I'm going page by page, underlining stuff because it's just so full of information nuggets. But imagine when Snowden told everybody in the world what the different agencies were doing and how deeply they pried into the cyber world. The agencies all took a step back and said, "Fine, we're not the bad guys. We'll buy this information from Google, Microsoft, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest." Now the NSA can get all the information they need directly from the sources that are actually in possession of it, that created these gigantic data oceans, and then they don't have to be the bad guys anymore because we've all given that information away freely. We've all signed that, when you signed that agreement, down below, you said, "I agree," and you just basically took whatever they want and gave it to them to use for whatever purpose.
I'm waiting for Google to start using our webinars. I mean, our ControlTalk Now, the Smart Building Podcast. Hell, they don't give us enough Google credit. I got a question. Maybe you can answer this. If not, maybe somebody in my ControlTrends community can. This is the weirdest thing. I don't go on Facebook often. My wife always posts as me, but I do go on sometimes. And the last 2 times I've been on, Kenny, it's like it comes up and it says, Facebook would like to have access to your personal information in your computer. Allow, always, allow, or deny. And I deny it, and then it comes up again. I have to deny it twice before I can get in it. I mean, what do they want? They want my passwords and everything. What's up with that?
Listen to me. Here's how bad it is. Strong question. And again, Mark Goodman has put the chills down my back. When you're laying with you're asleep and your phone's next to you and Anna's phone's next to her, those 2 phones exchange information. So you could be saying no all day, and no, I don't want to share it, no, don't allow, whatever. But unfortunately, because you're in the proximity of allowing a device who could share that information, then there's no request anymore. You're networked within your own house. All this stuff that's networked in your house is accessed. And I tell you what, I know we too are not exempt from it. We feel some shady things happen every now and then, and not going into any great detail, but there are ways to catch things and see things and see who's doing things, and everything leads to a trail. It just is a matter of time of finding it. So, but none of us are exempt from it. I do what Fred Gordy says. And then getting cybersecurity, insurance, and then live out a full life. That's all.
So basically, I think what I got to do is you get a Windows machine to watch those movies on, right? So that because I keep going to my Facebook thing and it keeps going, all these things about spring break cheerleaders and girls going wild. I go, where is this coming from? Well, it's my wife watching, and I realize it's probably not her, it's probably me. But all right, Kenny, I think that's a good note to end it on. But any advice our community can give us about how I can protect my computer and not get in trouble with my wife would be very much appreciated. And with that, Kenny Smyers, we were going to talk about 15 minutes and we've gone about an hour. So let's wrap it up, Big Dog. What do you say?
Well, we had a couple more posts real quick. Functional Devices is all ears when it comes to product suggestions from its customers. Great products, great accessory devices. They're another nominee. Unfortunately, they didn't take home a trophy, but they certainly got recognition as a sponsor, and people know and enjoy and love their products. We also had Lynxspring launches the new products AHR. That E2E is really catching on. Edge Enterprise. In particular, they're really excited about their Onyx BH311. Please check the post out. Belimo had a free webinar announcement that's coming Wednesday, February 3rd, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's why they win some of those big trophies, is because technical support and technical information and the balanced approach, from a big company like that, is they independently, are stellar in every individual thing: customer support, marketing, tutorials, videos. So get on board with Belimo's free webinar on dynamic balancing, Wednesday, February 3rd. You can go right to our site and register direct.
Very, very cool. Okay.
And that's it.
With that, Kenny Smyers, let's just go with our typical thing. Let's see if we can remember to do it. We're out of practice. So there you go. Another week on ControlTalk Now, your Smart Buildings videocast and podcast. We appreciate our listeners and viewers. By the way, we went over 1 million viewers on YouTube. So we appreciate our YouTube watchers as well as our podcast continues to grow. So thank you to all our listeners and watchers. So with that, Kenny Smyers, I will say have a great week. And remember, stay in control. This is where you go
Indeed,
Eric. Okay. Yeah, we got to do that again. Okay. So with that, now I forgot our outro, dude. I'm out of practice. Okay. So remember, have a great week and stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. All right. We got it, big dog. Awesome.
So it's an hour. Holy smokes.